Welcome to the Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk to two students about how they fundraised for their study abroad experience and how they managed their money once on program. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. Tonight, we are joined by Kyra and Reese, who are here speaking about fundraising for their CIEE summer experience and money management while on the program. Always a big hot question for our teens, and definitely something very important to think about, to kind of think of those logistics as we're getting prepared to make this trip abroad. So I'm going to have Kyra and Reese introduce themselves.
Hi, I studied abroad in Paris in summer 2024.
Hey, I'm Reese. I'm a junior right now, and I studied in Seville in last summer. So that was 2024 as well. Yeah.
Cool. And so when you guys applied for CIEE, what was your first reaction when you saw the price of CIEE?
It was a little expensive.
Yeah.
But with me getting a job, it was very manageable. And the scholarship that I received, it was really generous.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, when I was like, this is gonna be a hard sell for my parents for sure. It was probably a big one. I was like, I gotta make sure. But eventually I was like, I kind of thought to myself, if I work for this and I work hard at it, I'm sure I've got a whole year before I want to go, I could probably save up. So similar feeling.
Yeah, for sure. It's sometimes when students first hear the price tag, they get freaked out, right? They don't realize how much it includes, right, for 1 month abroad. But then it is actually, you guys found manageable to be able to fundraise for. So did you both apply for the Global Navigator Scholarship? How did that work?
Yes, I did. I had to write three essays. One of them was about my after school activities. One of them is about struggles I've overcome, and the other one I can't really remember right now. But I remember getting the scholarship, and I was really happy. I think it was really generous. I got way more than I expected, and it just really helped.
That's great. What about you, Reese?
Yeah, so I applied for was the Global Navigator. That was the one you get the teacher recommendation letter and stuff for that one. Yes. So I got that one as well. Once you just write the essays, you just submit a few things I think you submit your GPA, you get a teacher's recommendation letter, stuff like that, and then and then you get your I think I got I don't remember exactly how much money I got, but it was a good chunk. It was a solid chunk taken out, and honestly, it was I was surprised because I wasn't entirely sure I would get it. Because I figured, there's so many people on this program, so many people in America trying to study abroad and probably going to go for this program. But it was honestly you write the essays, which is something you'd already be doing for school, and then you kind of submit it, and there's a good chance you'll get it. So I recommend you try that.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it, because if you're going to get this opportunity to go abroad with a lot of it paid for, right? Then definitely 3 short essays are worth that. Right. So you guys weren't stressed about the scholarship application or anything like that. Was there anything that you struggled with more with the scholarship application? Any advice that you have for students working on the scholarship application?
Maybe the essays, because I wouldn't say I'm really the best, writer.
Okay.
But maybe a recommendation is to outline it first and to brainstorm before you start writing.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for me, probably the main thing was I'm a huge procrastinator. And so I see this list of tasks, because the CIE website, they give you, when you start an application, a list of tasks you have to do to apply. And then also more tasks get added when you have the scholarship. It was a little bit intimidating, but tackle it one step at a time. My biggest thing is if you've got something that you need someone else for, a teacher rec letter or something like that, send that out right away. Do that first. That way it's kind of out of your head. And then with the essays, kind of just do paragraph or however many sentences you think you could do every day, and make sure you have a good cushion of space. That way, in case you do procrastinate a little bit, you still have time to make it up. That's my advice.
Yeah, definitely don't leave it to the last minute. Right? And so when you apply for the scholarship, you guys put 3 program options that you want to go to, right? Three possible cities. Were the programs that you participated in your first choices?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine was also my first choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Cool. So the scholarship worked out. You got probably a good chunk of the money. So then when you see what's left over for you to have to pay, how did you have that conversation with your parents and kind of what was your plan moving forward? If you saw, okay, this program cost $6,000, CIEE gave me $3,000, now I have $3,000 to pay, for example. How did you kind of think about next steps with you and your parents?
Well, I said I would contribute some for my job because the money I saved for my job, I didn't spend it on anything through that entire time. So I saved it like solely for CIEE, and I contributed a little. And my parents were willing to like help out a lot because they really wanted me to have like the experience of traveling.
Awesome.
I think we're in very similar situations. I actually got the job, like I had the conversation with my parents before I had the job. So I talked to my parents about it and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to apply for the scholarship. I'm going to try to like do this. But even if I don't get the scholarship and whatever, this is the amount of money that it's going to cost us. And my dad, I think, did a trip to the Grand Tetons National Park, like when he was young. And it was like a big trip with like his, some kind of like outdoors troop. And the way his parents set it up is he said, okay, you can pay for half of it. And then as long as you make the money to pay for half of it, we'll pay for the other half and you can go. And so he made the same deal with me where he said, okay, get a job or find some way to get money, save up half of it, and then pay for half, and then I'll let you go. And so that's what I ended up doing.
Awesome. And so then you both got the jobs in order to pay for the CIEE program.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. What kind of jobs did you guys do?
My town is like this youth bureau thing. So it's like a learn to earn. It was kind of more like an internship. It wasn't like a traditional job. It was like an ecology ambassador. And basically we had to do like projects. And my project was to figure out how to mitigate an invasive species in my town. And we presented it to like our city hall.
Really cool.
Yeah. That's a cool teenage summer job to pay for something.
Yeah. I would love to learn about mitigating invasive species. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And how old were you when you got that job?
I was 14 and I like turned 15 in the middle of it.
Okay. Cool. When did you work? So what was the time frame? When did you start working the job?
June to like late August.
Okay.
So it was like a summer job. Yeah.
The entire summer. So this was the summer before. So this was summer 2023?
Yeah, the summer before. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then I worked at a bakery actually. So it was not like an in-person bakery. It was like a bakery that like is open at night, and then during the day they ship all the bread out to farmers markets, and I worked at the farmers markets. Oh. So which also was really fun because like it's a very friendly environment. Like generally people are kind of in a good mood.
Yeah.
And like a lot of customer service sometimes is intimidating because people are not always in the best mood. But like that was really fun. I got tips sometimes, which added to the total. I did the majority of my working over the summer between freshman and sophomore year. So I don't know what exact age I was, but it was, I think I was just old enough to work in California.
Okay. So again, it was the summer before you went abroad with CIEE. So you guys were planning and working a year out, right?
Yeah, I wanted to do CIEE for like a year or two before I applied, like a year and a few months before I applied. So I was saving and like thinking about it for a really long time.
Wow, prepared. I love this. You guys had a plan. It was part of your 5-year high school plan, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had only like been out of the country once before then. And it was like it was a long time ago. I don't really remember it that well. So I was like super excited to get out there, do something by myself, like, and enjoy just like learn about another culture. And so like our school's like partners with CIEE in some way. So like we received a presentation every year about like the language classes, about going to study abroad. So in freshman year, I received that presentation and I was like hooked. I'm like, I know I want to do this. So then that summer I worked for the position.
Yeah. And Kyra, did you also find out about it at a school presentation your freshman year?
No, I did not. Actually, CIEE doesn't have any relations with my school. I found it on Google, I think. Yeah, I just looked up study abroad programs because I really wanted to do it. So.
Okay. And do you study French in school? Is that why?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you study Spanish, Reese?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Did you hear of any other students in conversations with other students on program? Did any of your friends talk about doing any fundraising? I know sometimes people do like GoFundMe's or bake sales, stuff like that. Did you hear anything about that, or was that not a conversation you guys had?
Nothing about fundraising, but I know people who got outside scholarships.
Okay.
Like their sources.
Yeah.
Because someone's town had this like thing where this like rich person like kind of like the kids like apply and then he kind of like pays for them to go.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of like a local donor.
Yeah.
Local scholarship. Did you guys do any local scholarships?
No, I did not.
No.
I don't think I had any, but I did on the program hear about a bunch of people who got the Global Navigator. Like I was saying earlier, I was surprised by how easy it is to get. A lot of the people I knew from the program got the Global Navigator scholarship. So
yeah, a huge portion of our students that end up studying abroad get at least some portion of their tuition through the Global Navigator scholarship. Last summer, I think we gave out over $7 million in scholarship, right? So it's really exciting to see what the teens are able to do with that, right? And so then now you fundraised, you have your money to pay for this program, for your plane ticket as well, right? Because then that's another cost that is not included in the CIEE tuition, right? And now you're going to spend time abroad. I was actually having a conversation with a friend today, completely random. Her husband is a travel agent, and she said, my husband said the expensive part of traveling isn't the plane ticket. It's once you get there and start spending all this money. And I was like, for real, I felt that, like, true story, because in my mind, I go on a trip and I think money doesn't exist and I can just spend whatever I want, right? But that's not the case. That's not true. We can't just spend whatever we want because we're away from home. So before you left, did you have a conversation about money management with your parents? A lot of people are often curious about, how much cash to bring or, a card. What did you do in terms of spending money? So what was your plan? Before we talk about what you actually did, what was your plan going in? And did you have this conversation with your parents?
I had this conversation with my parents. My parents told me to prioritize spending on maybe things that aren't so common in the US. I don't know how to explain it. So, France is famous for perfume and we have perfume, but you'd more likely spend money here than just there's just some things that you wouldn't get in France because you can easily get it in America. Just prioritize your spending on things that are unique.
For sure. Smart. Yeah.
And my advice for saving money while on program is do better than I did, because I spent a lot of money there. But so my parents gave me maybe 100 euros in cash. They just took it out for me of I think half of the money I gave them, half the money they supplied. 100 euros cash just for emergencies, and then the rest of it I had a debit card that I just loaded. And a lot of times debit card, the conversion just works, right? You just put the card in. And but I think my advice would be understand that photos you can take them for free and you'll remember everything perfectly well, and it's lovely to have souvenirs. I got a lot of souvenirs and I really enjoyed it. But don't feel the urge to spend money if you don't need to. And also I don't know about other countries, but in Spain there's tapas culture, so you can get a smaller portion of just as good food and share it with your friends and have the whole experience of eating, and for less money than it would cost for a whole American portion size or anything like that. So I got this one coin. It was an ancient Roman coin, and it's one of the coolest. I'm really happy with that purchase, and it was pretty cheap compared to a lot of the other stuff I bought. So just prioritize really what you think speaks to you, right? That's my advice.
Okay, great. Were there things that you guys felt tempted to buy and were no, I can't do this? I always hear especially when I go to France and Spain on program to visit and to meet students on program, I often hear I spent all my money the first week in Zara. Europe has sales in July, right? That's when Europe doesn't, clothing stores, sales like that are different on a different schedule than here in the US. Here in the US, we have a different store has a different sale every day, right? Whereas in Europe, sales tend to be all the stores in July, right when our students are in program, right? And so the amount of times I have heard I spent all my money in the first week on clothes. So I'm hoping that neither of you did that. No, right? Did you have people on your program that did stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I remember I went to a crystal shop with my friend, like after like language classes, and she spent like $300 on crystals in like the first week.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We were right next to this big mall, our house, our host family. And so my roommate, funny guys, but they both like were always at the mall buying a bunch of stuff. And at some point I hear like, man, I spent too much of my money. And then I'm like, what'd you spend it on? And they're like, it's just like the same shop as you can get in America. And I'm like, well, exactly. So, yeah, I've seen that experience. I mean, I didn't do that luckily, just because I'm not like a huge like clothing buff, but like, yeah, just be careful.
Yeah. So you talked about like a coin that you bought and stuff like that. So what kind of stuff did you guys end up mostly spending your money on?
I went to this museum of perfume, and I don't really get perfume in America, but I know if I was getting perfume, I'd really want to buy it in France. So that was one of my biggest purchases. I didn't buy too much, but that was definitely one of my biggest purchases because the perfume there was kind of expensive. And I also got some nice soap because even though like Paris specifically is not known for soap, Marseille, I don't know how to pronounce it. I know they are, and they like ship it to Paris, so you can buy their soap there. So I got some of their soap.
Yeah, so like local, what are they? I can't think of the word, right? But things that are there's local expertise in, right? That's definitely something that's worth spending your money.
Also cheese. I'd spend a lot on cheese.
Did you guys spend, so that actually brings me to my next question. Did you guys spend a lot of money on snacks? So food comes with the CIEE program, right? That's part of your tuition. You're going to get a stipend for lunch on topic programs. You're going to, on your programs, I'm imagining your host families give you packed lunches, right? Every day. So you have your meals provided by the program, right? But of course, then you're out with your friends and you probably see an ice cream place or you see a tapas place. You see McDonald's and all of a sudden you miss a McFlurry, right? Did you guys spend a lot of money on other snacks and stuff like that?
Well, I would say in the overall time of the program, I wouldn't say I spent a lot of money, but there was this boulangerie across from us, and during our like 10-minute break, in between like class, we would go to the boulangerie and get all these like try these different pastries and stuff. But I wouldn't say they're that expensive because the CIEE Center is not like in the center of Paris. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like a tourist area per se.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. For breakfast we got it packed generally because we kind of like at least for us, our house is a little bit further away from the metro, so it was kind of like a brisk walk to get there, and then we would so we had a packed breakfast usually. And then for lunch, we would typically come back home to our host mom's house, and we would eat there. And then same thing, like most of the meal, like any meal you want to go back home for, you totally can. And then occasionally I would eat out with friends. One of the biggest things food-wise that I spent my money on, there was this empanada shop like right in front of my house, and it was like, no joke, the best empanadas I've ever had in my life. But like they were so expensive for how like big they were. And even I told my host mom like how much they cost, and she's like, "Oh my goodness!" but it was so worth it. And my friends would ask like, "Hey, can I walk with you home? Because I want to hit the empanada shop on the way back."
Oh my god, that's so funny!
Yeah, it was a great time. So just make sure if you're spending a lot of money on food, it's good food.
Yeah, make sure it's worth it. Don't do it. Don't spend it on McDonald's. Right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Did you guys do like souvenir shopping to bring stuff back for friends and family?
I brought a lot of chocolate because I heard this thing, because my friend is from Europe, and I heard that like European chocolate is not as good as American chocolate. So I brought a lot, and it's true. No, American chocolate is not as good as European chocolate.
I was getting scared for a second.
That's what I meant. And so I brought a lot of European chocolate back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I also bought a lot of souvenirs. Some of them were for myself. Like I kind of have hinted at. I'm a big architecture and history buff. So like while I was in Spain, that's like the number one thing I was looking at. I was like, oh my God, how old is that building? Right? And I was asking everybody about the history and whatever. So I bought some like little models of like different architectural stuff that I saw, or like little ancient Roman coin, like I mentioned. And then just a few souvenirs for like my friends. Like I have a friend who was into like journaling. So I brought back like a cool like journal I got from this little paper shop or stuff like back for him. And also, on the topic of chocolates, one of my first expenses for the trip was I wanted to bring a gift for my host mom. And so I heard that, like, I have some European friends who said that you can't get Ghirardelli chocolates in Europe, or like in a lot of countries in Europe, they don't have it. And in Spain, they don't have it. And I'm from California, and it's like the factory is like right here. So I was like, hey, I'll just bring that over to them. And she really appreciated it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Something, again, unique to where you're from.
Yeah, cultural exchange.
In a way.
Right? What it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Awesome. Let me think. I think we've kind of hit on all the questions, but let's just talk about your experience in general. I want to give you guys the opportunity to do that. So what would you say, or do you have anything to add about fundraising and money?
For money, I feel like in a big city like Paris, there is like you don't have to pay to do things. There's just so many things to do. A lot of the museums, if you're under 18, you can go for free. Yeah. And like if you go to the movie theater, like I think the movie theater is good because it helps you like learn like languages. A lot of the movies, if you're under 26, you also get a discount. So there's a lot of like free things to do, and they have these beautiful public parks. So me and my friends would have like picnics. Another thing on saving food, so they'd give us like a certain amount, like in France, they gave it like stuff called like check déjeuner, and we would get like a certain amount. And so what I would recommend for that is for the majority of the week to get like sandwiches, because like France is like big on sandwiches, and like once or twice a week have these like big like lunches with your friends, but not to have like big lunches every single day. Right. So you can kind of save them, and by doing that I had enough to get like snacks and stuff with them without like running out. And also shopping in non-touristy areas. Like people would go out to eat next to like the Eiffel Tower, which is like a fortune. But if you go to like the 11th arrondissement, not very like expensive compared. I mean, it's still a city, it's still expensive, but like compared to like that area. Yeah.
And probably better. Usually food next to the Eiffel Tower, isn't going to be the best quality, right? Because it's for tourists. Right.
Oh, and
cheaper and better.
Thing, thrifting instead of going to these like upscale like places. There's this amazing place called the Kilo Shop where you take the clothes and then you weigh them, and the price is based on like how much it weighs, and things were like super affordable. Like I saw the cutest leather jacket for like $30, which is really cheap for a leather jacket, and then just like everything was super cheap. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super fun. I do hear a lot of students that go thrifting while they're in Europe, and that's have like a super amazing fun time, right? Because it's also an experience to get something unique, right? And to get different stuff that are more unique to, maybe a different time period in France, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. What about you, Reese?
Like final note, like similar things is kind of like one, there's a lot of great free stuff to do in any city, any country you're going to, especially like Spain has a lot of beautiful architecture, which you would be able to see if my background was working earlier today. But unfortunately, I mean, you can discover it for yourself, right? And then also like my other piece of advice would be like at a job, like it's easy to kind of think I'll just clock in, clock out, like get it done. But like, it's honestly, I found it was just like that's, that makes sense. Like, but it's kind of more fun if you're like making a game. Like for me, I there was tips involved in my job, so I kind of did a game to see who I can get the most tips from every time. So like I was kind of like making jokes and whatever, like trying to, because it's a way to pass the time, right? It's a way to pass the time and just enjoy yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of how I thought about it.
And it's an important step in your life, right? You're getting your first job. So it's something that's going to happen eventually. And it's cool that CIEE gave you this first experience of going abroad and being independent and being on your own. But it also was kind of what propelled you to take that initiative to get your first job for the first time as well, right? Do you guys still work jobs now?
I had a paid internship, but it just ended like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
When I got back, I kind of stopped because junior year, it's kind of a tough year. So I decided to focus on school and really be ready for that. But I think over the summer, there's a pretty good chance I'll have another job. I think I'm looking into a few things right now. And then, because of course, to save up for when you go up to college and stuff. And I'm sure I'll use some of the skills for saving money that I learned on CIE when I'm in college. So I'm excited for that.
What was your favorite experience with CIEE? What was your highlight of your summer?
With the program or just in Paris?
Or just in Paris, yeah.
So I remember my host family and my roommates, it was Bastille Day, and we saw the fireworks at the Eiffel Tower, and I thought that was really amazing. And another thing is me and my friend went to Disneyland, and that was really nice because it's actually way cheaper in Paris than it is in America.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That sounds, Eiffel Tower's fireworks sound pretty magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool. What about you, Reese?
My favorite experience probably was, there's two. So the Alcázar, which is the oldest continuously used palace in Europe. It's the which was insane to see. Technically it still belongs to the King of Spain, although I don't think the current King of Spain has ever been there, which means technically I've been there more times than him. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. And advice for students who are going abroad this summer, or that, maybe like you are finding out about CIEE now and are planning ahead to go in summer 2026. What kind of advice do you have?
My advice is to be open-minded. You may not be used to experiencing another culture, but you really have to open yourself to it, and you're allow yourself to adjust to those ways, and also not to give up hope, because you may get homesickness in the first 2 days and think, well, this whole experience is going to be awful and I'm going to hate it. But I only felt that way for 2 days, and then I ended up loving it. So you really you have to realize the problem won't last forever. Yeah.
Then I'd say with regards to advice for people going there for the first time, I'd say related to that, don't be afraid to put your other stuff on the back burner for a little while. I was I gotta stay busy, I gotta be doing all this stuff, still staying in touch with all my friends. Your friends will still be there when you get back. So put down the phone for a little while, which is something I didn't do enough. And also maybe don't worry if you're getting homesick. I was homesick the first few days, then I got a good night's sleep, and then I was feeling a lot better. Yeah, it's another thing. Also, don't stay up late, finishing projects at the last minute. Try to be on top of that because it's a lot more fun when you sleep. But yeah, so just sleep and try to live in the moment as much as you can. That's my advice.
Super great advice. Yeah, first off, homesickness is normal. You guys are teenagers, being away from home, being away from your teenage life and your friends for the summer for a month, right? So homesickness is totally normal. But yeah, everything with good sleep, everything seems more manageable, right? So, you might be more homesick in the first couple of days because you're also just really exhausted from jet lag and traveling. And, you just need some rest to recalibrate your emotions, right? And it is a super intense program in that you are doing stuff all the time, right? Your schedule is super packed. So
every day.
Yeah.
Except for the weekends and Fridays. Yeah, it's generally really packed. Even then some weekends. But you know what? I got off the plane and I'm talking to my host mom. I'm meeting her for the first time. And I'm just not understanding what she's saying in Spanish. I'm oh no, am I doomed? I was oh, no. And then like the next morning I wake up and I'm able to talk with her just fine. And she goes, well, your Spanish is a lot better now. And I'm like, yeah. 24-hour flight, I'll do that.
Yeah, for sure. And yes, don't worry about your friends at home, right? Live your life in the moment here. As hard as it is to, not be Snapchatting and texting friends at home all the time, it's gonna be all the better for it, right? The experience.
Codes in the description where use that when you start your application, and then we get a little bit and you get something off. You get some discount. How much is it exactly again?
I think it's $200, right?
$200. Yeah. You get $200 off just starting off. Use that referral code. So I recommend that.
Yes, definitely use their referral codes. Yes. Thank you both for joining. This was definitely a super helpful conversation. Maybe not, the most exciting topic ever to talk about or to listen to or think about, but definitely an important part of the study abroad experience and something that should not be looked over, right? So thank you both for giving your insights. And you're definitely going to help some students not blow all of their money in the rebajas in Spain in the first week at Zara and Pull & Bear. So thank you, and best of luck with everything in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Out of Your Comfort Zone. For more information on high school study abroad programs, visit ciee.org/Global Navigator.